Hello everybody and welcome to 97% Fire, the home of home recording studios. In this episode I shall fulfill a lifelong ambition, but before that I ruin a perfectly good home recording studio. What was I thinking? So this is the studio. It is small and it is perfectly formed, and we have everything that we could possibly want to record noisy rock music. The only trouble is, because we're a home studio, this is quite clearly a dining room, as you can see by the 90s lights. Insert photograph of dining room here. So, because of that, it's not very inspiring as a place, and also it's really cramped. So if you want to get something out of the cupboard, you have to move half the drum kit. When you're playing the drums, you end up banging your hand on the shelf. If you want to sing, you have to sort of clamber between guitar amps and over cables. And if you want to film a YouTube channel that nobody watches, then you have to stand on a chair and fit silly lights. So it's not cool, really. But we're going to change that. So first things first is we need to get all this stuff out of the way, and we're going to reposition all the kit, get rid of all the old furniture, and turn this into a cool, creative space. He says, cue the time lapse. So stage one is complete. We have got rid of everything, including the wall lights. Now, to make those cables a bit safer, we can use these things here. They are called Wagos or Wagos, depending on how northern you are. And what you do is you undo the connector blocks and you can just slide them on the end, like so. And they have several inputs. So if we wanted to connect another light, we can pop it in without the need of electrician. Now, top tip, wall plugs, RAW. After the man that invented them. Sometimes if you pull them out, this happens. Whoa. So what you can do is put a screw in the wall where your plug was, and then using a specific wall plug insertion device, you can knock them back so they're no longer flush. Take the screw out, don't electrocute yourself. And then you'll be able to fill that without making a big hole in your wall. Brilliant. Right. Next up, we're either going to move the amp or the drums or all the stuff behind the drums. But first, we're going to tidy. So the next step is to move the drums from here to over there, and then hopefully we might have enough room to include the extra drums. Now, because I labelled this, hopefully I can cheat and simply unplug all the cables, wind them back up, but leave the microphones where they are, and then just shimmy the whole kit over and then plug everything back in again. Let's find out how likely that is. Wobbly cam. So now look at the space we have for activities. Very excited. So next job is to get rid of this rack and then get some of those drums as part of the kit. Because what we don't want to be is to have a silly 4-piece kit all cramped up facing a wall in what looks to be a lunatic asylum. That would be awful. Okay, and then what we're going to do is the Marshall stack will go over yonder. These cupboards will probably go, and then the second acoustic panel that we originally made, which is now doubling up here. You can see that? That's two there. We can then put that back on its wheels over on that wall, and we can get some sort of symmetry going with the acoustics. It won't be perfect because there's an enormous glass door there, but it'll be better than it was. And then we're going to start looking at making the room look a bit more cool, a bit more studio, a bit less 90s dining room. Okay, SitRep in what I am now describing as Operation Wish I Had Never Started. We have now successfully destroyed most of the studio, rendering it inoperable. Brilliant. Well, that's okay. All part of the fun. As you can see, we now have acoustic panels, one at the front and one at the back, and one behind us, which is a bit more even. The cloud is now in completely the wrong place, although it does make a nice little guitar area, which is quite cool. We've put the legs back on the acoustic panel so we can move it, although then I put a cupboard in front of it, so I can't. So I need to work something out for that, and also work something out for the doors. But it is coming along, and this install should be a lot neater, tidier, and more usable. Right, I shall continue this tomorrow, which for you will be shortly. SitRep Part 2. Now, I'm not saying this has taken a long time, but we are now in day 2. And so far, I have found most of my cymbals and cymbal stunts. And remember, when it comes to home recording, the more cymbals you have, the harder it is to balance and to mix, so that's a good thing. Over here, we've got the mixing desk and some various mics. I use this setup here for recording a Ewok trio, or the two if I'm doing a quintet. We also have various boxes that have been moved to make things neater. So we have the drum box there, ready to plug in. You'll notice that there's really tight installation, and that is because nothing is plugged in, so nothing works at all. It's fantastic. Over here, you remember I put the acoustic panelling on wheels so I could move it. I then put a cupboard in front of it so I couldn't move it. So I then removed the cupboard so I could move it, and then I took the wheels off so now I can't move it again. So that is real progress. PA, guitar world, pedals, it's all coming along lovely. Right, Another update shortly. So, the good news is we have found most of the drums. I've put them in roughly the right position, and we've got loads of room, front, back, side, side, left, right. And now I've decided I'm going to decorate the wall. So I'm going to move them all again. I don't know, why didn't I decorate it? I don't know. Oh, my back! Oh, I'm too old! Okay, so we are ready for decorating. I don't want to come over all Linda Barker, but if you've got a room that you want to decorate without creating loads of dust, water is the key. So, where we've got the holes from our various shelves, if you spray a tiny little bit, making sure not to get the electrics in the hole, and then you can take your favourite / the cheapest filler you could find on Jeff's online store, and then you can gently but purposefully fill the holes like so. Then a tiny mist of water, and you can smooth them over. All prepped, no sanding required, which is great. They might shoot back a bit, you can always repeat the process. Now, normally I would do a time lapse and complete the job so you can see the progress. But we've had a letter of complaint from a viewer, and it says, "Dear so-called Colin, from so-called 97% Fire, the so-called home of home recording, if you are a world-renowned guitarist, and you also own a drum kit, rude, and a bass and Pro Tools, why do you always insist on using the terrible stock music and not write your own?" Now, this correspondent wishes to remain anonymous, which is why they've written this imaginary letter using invisible ink. But let me tell you, Matthew from Blackstone, Kent, that's just mean. And because of that, I'm going to make you watch the whole thing in real time. Yep. 1, 2, you missed the music yet. 'You join me in the 97% Fire auxiliary workshop, and they are the old lights. Why have I come out to the garage? Well, that's because, just to remind newer viewers that this is the space that we'll be actually turning into a proper home recording studio once I've finished paying off my enormous student debts. But before all of that, we are going to mix some paint for the studio. Big reveal of colour here, always very exciting. What colour will it be? Well, obviously you can see it on the can already. So we have got 2 types of paint here. We have Ew, that's nice. And we also have one of these paints you may recognise from the wall in the control room. This is probably that one. This paint here is the one that I thought I bought the same as that one so it matched, but this is actually from my son's bedroom in our old house. Look at that! Now, by mixing these two together with this drill, which as you can see I failed to clean properly after I painted the control room, we will have a completely bespoke, unique, one-off colour especially for us, which will become impossible to match. Strangely therapeutic, isn't it? Right. This one. This might not work. We'll give it a go. Right. What we'll do is pop that through a sieve and then throw it at a wall. Wonderful. And if we pour that into this nice clean plastic bucket, we can then get rid of this old metal can with all the rust and the lumps. Do I want to tip that in there? Do I? Yeah. Fail. Getting paint everywhere. Right. New paint for free. Here in the UK, it's a bank holiday, which means by law, anyone over the age of 35 has to stay inside while it's sunny and decorate. And I'm no exception. So to start, I have prepared accordingly by masking up all the woodwork and stuff. I have mixed and cleaned the paint so there's no lumps in it. I can't show you how I did that because if I do, my wife will find out that I've just ruined our best sieve for baking. Right, I'm not going to record all of this decorating because it'd be as interesting as watching paint dry. Need a break. I know what you're thinking. Is he going to spill some of the paint and make this video much more interesting? Who knows? The jeopardy. If you do happen to shop at Tesco's, other supermarkets are available. You can use one of their carrier bags to stop the paint from drying on your roller, save you washing it with a million gallons of water. And when you come to do the second coat, you're good to go. There we go. So far, so good. Now, this will probably be the end of this week's video. Tune in next time for part 2.
Master of Science degree in Audio Engineering. Colin Daly.